Good morning, everyone. How is everybody doing on this fine election results morning? Welcome to TopstepTV. This is the London session. I'm Deeyana Angelo. I've been trading for 17 years. 12 years out of that, I've been trading futures, mainly crude oil and precious metals. All right, I have a crude oil long, so I'm going to explain what I'm thinking there. But before we dive into that, I can see that the markets have positively reacted to what seems to be the Trump win. Are we going to have another year of crazy X-posts? It depends. So I'm going to be putting Trump X page somewhere, just to track that, just like I used to do when he was the president last time, because we found that his tweets were having a pretty crazy effect on the markets. So we'll see whether he's learned his lesson from last time and whether he's going to keep doing that or not. But yeah, it's something to keep in mind. So we're in for another 4 years of Mr. Trump, it seems. All right, so let's have a quick scan of this crude oil idea that I have. Now, if I look on the daily chart, there is not much to see here. We're kind of in the middle of the range, but there is a little tiny sort of a speed bump, I would say, around 70.50. Yesterday I had 70.75 as a level of interest, and we only reached that today, overnight. So we're going to see what happens. I took a payout from this account. There was about 9 grand in there, so I took almost half. And by the looks of it, that's already on the way. So that's all good. But because of that, I'm going to be sizing down to micros for the first few days, just to kind of bring up a little bit of the balance back. And that's something that you should be doing as well. Anytime you take a sizable payout from the account, if you take those 50%, you can't keep position sizing the same as it was before. Because why? Well, if the day doesn't go well, you're going to derail the account. And that's not account maintenance. That is being high on hopium and just going, I don't care that I just took a payout, I'm going to keep going. No, you don't keep going. You size down and you try to build the buffer back up. I know, it's shockingly difficult, right? Oh my God, I have to size down. But let's just try and keep the wishful thinking and managing account based on the DLLs or any kind of personal DLLs that you have, and actually manage the account based on the balance that you have left in there, okay? Just because they allow you to lose a certain amount of cash, or all of it now since the removal of the DLLs on these XFAs and combines, it doesn't mean that that's the way you should be managing your account, right? So I see this a lot. People take a payout, the next day the XFAs are gone. Why? Because they kept the sizing, or even worse, they increased the size that they're doing. How can you do that? You have less working capital now. So work with that, not against it. Work with the budget that you have, not the budget that you think you should have. High on hopium, wishful thinking, that just doesn't work in this line of work. So, it's just like a business, right? If you had a ton of cash and then you decided to spend it on stock, on extra inventory, what's going to happen? You're not going to have enough working capital. This is the same thing if you were hedging to protect yourself. Let's say you're a producer of something and you're hedging. What's going to happen? Your capital will be reduced. Why? Because a portion of your cash is locked up in a hedge. Okay? Same thing, exact same thing. So try to apply those real world ideas to your trading account, because this is a business and we should treat it as such. So yeah, this little speed bump here, enough of the rant, moving on. So enough of the deciding to give everyone a good telling off this morning. So yeah, the speed bumps in the middle of the range are obviously a little less reliable. So we still need something intraday to justify the reason of going into this trade. I'm just going to clear my throat. Got frogs in my throat this morning. Right, hopefully that's sorted. But I haven't spoken to anyone this morning just yet, so bear with me. I see a pretty good question now. Nisarg says, if someone has moved to live funded account in Topstep, if that's you, congratulations. Can they still pass some combines and trade XFAs in live both? Yes, this is what many of us are doing. So we usually all have some XFAs on the go, and we can still do combines. Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing that at this point. So it's some time in the future there could be some regulation, but that's not like, it's not really anything that is set in stone yet. It's just kind of chatter in the industry that CME has got wind of what is going on in the sim funded industry, and they want to use these tens of thousands of traders that we have on sim to basically act as locals, as market makers for the real markets. So they want to see eventually, not now, but eventually, they want to see people being moved to the live markets in a very clear path. Now, Topstep already has that, okay? They've always tried to work within the CFTC compliance, and because of that, they have outlined a clear path to live funding. Now, if you are moved to live, here is what the benefits are. First of all, when you're trading in a sim environment, it's sim fills. They're not real fills. When you see these people who are like making $300 across 20 accounts and they're like, oh, I'm a millionaire now, it is not the same as if you are trading 1 and 2 lots across 20 accounts and trading 40, 50 lots in a single account in a live market. Why? Because if you look at a lot of these ladders, like for example, let me go to NQ. This is so thin right now. How many contracts do you have available? Like, everybody who puts in a limit order, that means it's liquidity for the market. That's what these numbers are on the dome. How many orders do you have per position, per price? 1, 2, 3, 8, 6. There's one at 703, that's 10. 703.50, 21. And what does that mean? It means you don't have 40 and 50 lots per price. So what's going to happen? The exchange will prioritize the smaller guys. They will prioritize people who trade with 1 and 2 lots. So you can click enter, and then you're just going to be sat there. Now, depending on how the platform is set up, you can either go fill or kill, which means you fill all of it or nothing, in which case you're going to get a boing, order rejected, or you're going to get a partial fill, and now you're sitting in only 8 lots, but you wanted to do 50. So now what? So now you have to re-enter. Is that as easy as clicking one button and it filling you across all 20 accounts? It's unrealistic, guys. So the benefits of a live account is that it teaches you what the real world is like. Okay? It teaches you the problems that you can have with live fills. Now, I know that everybody's like salivating over the fact that we can trade sim and get these perfect fills on a million sizes. It is one of those things where you're always training in a safe environment, right? It's like being, we had Alex Ferreira here. It's like trading with by jumping in whatever it was, like a big mattress or foam bed or something, and never having that danger and skills to navigate the live market when things start misbehaving. So I'm sorry, but if you're only trading sim, you're not a real trader. I'm sorry to break it to you, okay? Another rant incoming probably. Because, it's good for a while until you get your training wheels. Yes, it's good for you to see what sort of strategy works, to find yourself, to get to know yourself. But ultimately, if you've only ever traded on sim, you are not going to be well equipped to trade the live market. So that's, to me, a benefit, because if you are a true trader, you will be able to navigate both sim and live. Now, contrary to popular belief, the fills on live are not the same one, especially once you go over a certain size. And we've seen that over and over with Topstep risk team saying that, this guy had a slippage of, he had a 3K DLL, but something really, really big came out, and they got slipped to like 5K, 10K, 20K, way past what the auto liquidator is set to. And that's not the auto liquidator, that's just the market, right? So if you're ill-equipped to deal with that, you will forever have your training wheels as a sim trader. Now, the second benefit, in particular with Topstep, this is not something that many firms have. They actually have a dedicated risk team. So let's say that you start your live account and you're struggling for the first few days. Again, it's something we see a lot very frequently. You can actually call up the risk team and go, guys, I'm really struggling. How should I approach this? Tell me what to do. Like, they're not going to tell you the strategy, but they're going to be like, okay, I think you've been overtrading a bit. And, the size that you have in here, it's a little bit too high. So why don't you try trading less and maybe try limiting that? And also you seem to have a negative risk reward. So maybe try and keep that risk reward a little bit more positive than you have done. So, they will help you. And then also, let's say that you, for example, don't want to trade Asia, but you want to trade the New York session, right? The cash session. You can actually call up the risk team and say, hey, Mick, can you lock up my account from like 8 p.m. Central all the way up to pre-market? They will actually do that for you. You can't do that on the XFAs. You can't do that anywhere else apart from calling up the risk team and then putting a time-based lock on the back end, on the systems that they have, that's going to run as long as you want it to run. So I, for example, did that when I was in a drawdown, and I had them lock up my account to not trade before the initial balance is set for NYMEX. So therefore preventing me trading London and stuff when I think things were happening, and the London moves were just not really behaving for me. And then I decided that I'm only going to focus on one session. So it helped with discipline, right? You have that nowhere else. Nowhere else can you, call up a risk team and say, hey, can you lock me up for a few hours? And they do it. So not only do you have support, you have flexibility of the times that your account might be unlocked. You have a shoulder, not just a shoulder tap, but also a shoulder to cry on, or three, actually. Not to say that you should be calling up the risk team to cry on their shoulder all the time, but if you are struggling, they are there to help, right? So you have that support system, you get a trading partner, and just like anything, if you're doing business, you're supposed to get some sort of a trading partner. You don't necessarily want to go at it all by yourself. It can be a lonely thing, especially trading. So having that support system around you, and especially support system from people who have been in the industry for a very, very long time. People like Brett, he's traded crack spreads. He's been in the industry for a long time. Mick, we know he's been with Topstep for, what was it now? I think 10 years or something. Like, it's crazy, right? Or 9 years, 10 years. That's a long time to be in the industry. And then before then, he worked for Linda Raschke, who had one of the top 15 hedge funds in the world. He was her assistant. And then he was a trader as well, right? So you have all of that experience trying to help you to succeed. And Topstep is one of the very, very few firms that, yes, they do subscription fees and stuff, but they really want you to succeed because they have a ton of live traders. and they put risk on onto the exchange, like they have real risk, real skin in the game, in the markets. So while for a newbie, staying on sim could be a benefit, to me the benefits of having a risk team and having a person to call up and discuss my results, that far outweighs anything else that some of the other firms are bringing, right? It's invaluable. So that, at least that's my thoughts. So you might disagree and you might say, well, we'll stay on sim forever. Great. So if you want to stay on sim forever, that's not really possible nor realistic. And if you're trading well, why not go to the equivalent of the Olympics in trading, right? Because when you reach that live funded status, you become a pro trader. Like, what is your goal in life? To be a sim trader forever? Or to actually say to people, yeah, I trade live, I'm a real trader. What would, like, let's say you've got like a chick that you're trying to chat up, right? It's like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a sim trader, but I make a lot of money. It's like, a sim trader? What is that? Is that like not a real trader? Is that like some sort of an esports thing where you just kind of sit and kill people for for fun? It just sounds a bit odd. It's like, yeah, I'm a real trader. I make a lot, but I've never traded in the live markets. So, for me, it's a bit of a kind of an oxymoron. It's like, really? Okay. And then I've seen it where, a sim trader was thrown in the live environment and they're like, right, you have this massive account now, trade. And they get absolutely slaughtered. Why? Because they're unprepared. They don't know how the live fills work. And it's different, guys. It's very, very different to you clicking a button and immediately being in the market nice and perfect, and then your limit orders always get filled on a sim. But here's the thing, in the live markets, a limit order has no guarantee of a fill, okay? If you have a limit order, they have to give you that price or better, and if they don't have enough liquidity around that price, but the orders are like flooding in, your limit order is just going to stay there. So you can have a target, all you want, but it's no guarantee that it's going to get filled. So therefore, you immediately have to be a little bit more upfront with managing your position. You can have a market order. Market order will get a fill, but it doesn't have a guarantee of when or which price. So, if my trade gets anywhere near to my target, and I always work in a zone, whether it's an entry or a target, it's never going to be like singular price point. It's like, yeah, it's nice if it gets to 70 ticks, but really what I'm looking at is for this particular trade to reach anywhere between 45 to 70 ticks. That is my take profit target. So I'm not like, that's to get there to 71.22. It has to be, it has to be my ultimate target, all or nothing. No, I just go, well, this is already a positive risk reward within this zone, right? We're working with 1.5 to 2R multiples. There's nothing else that I can wish for the trade to do. And on an intraday level, 1.5 to 2R, that's one hell of a risk reward, okay? All right, let's have a look at some other questions. Mr. Bugs says, hey Dee, how are you? I'm very well, thank you. Still waking up, but generally fine. What is your thoughts on this trade that made you go long? I was just short Crude and long NQ, locked in profit, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, so I'm going to explain again what was my thoughts here. So I had some levels at 70, 75, right? Now, when I came to see what my charts were doing, I actually saw that we have exhausted the average daily range. So I'm just going to drag my charts over because I'm just sick and tired of clicking and dragging and drawing things. So at 70.38, the average daily range for the day is exhausted. I also saw that we had not just some puts open interest there, but also a call area. And all of that means that we have a potential chop zone that could bring us into a reversal. So we are sitting at statistical algorithmic average exhaustion ranges. And that means more chances for a long. Right about that time, I was getting ready for a stream, and I also looked at the daily chart, so I saw the speed bump exactly at that point. And then I also went down to a 100-tick chart to see whether there was any movement. And at the time of entry, I saw that we were turning around. So here we go. This was right before the stream. So I know that ADR was a little bit higher. ASR was also touched, but in the pre-market, still in Asia. And it started to reverse. So I figured, you know what, let's start the stream with a trade. And sometimes it sets up very quickly, right? But on a lot of the days, I will not get my setups until much, much later. In London, typically like 3 or 4 hours, so close to the overlap. That's when my really good setups start. Now, London can be a bit quiet for these markets. The DAX can move better, but we don't have DAX yet. Oh, that reminds me. So let's upvote DAX. We have to keep upvoting DAX to get it up to a certain number of people, like at least over 200, but really ideally, I would like to see it over 400 in order for them to push it to the top of the queue. So I've just posted a link to Eurex. So you can vote directly on that. You don't even have to you don't even have to have Topstep log in there, but you will have to log in through something. So for example, you will have to log in to at least Google or Facebook, and then you can upvote it. Okay, so the thing with algorithmic ranges and the thing with making sure that you are not shorting the bottom, to me, I define those through data, right? I define it through the fact that I have an average range that I'm looking at as a level, not just, oh yeah, I think it's going to go there. It's basically something I've observed many times. So throughout the day, you have an expected movement for the day. Now, this movement can be taken just purely from the ADR and ASR, like average session ranges, but it can also be taken from the options activity that happened the previous day. So then you would kind of measure volatility and stuff and then spew out those levels the next day. And interestingly enough, those levels tend to be very, very similar to where my ADR and ASR are located. And this is why I have this reputation in the industry that I'm very good at catching bottoms and tops. And this is why, right? It's not that I'm catching a bottom, so I'm not going, oh, it's touched it, I'm going. I wait to see whether there is a reaction, and then when I see a reversal, which is the activity of the market makers hedging their positions and adjusting their inventory, that is when I get involved. And I typically get involved with a wider stop loss, so 35 ticks is a default right now, depending on, the volatility of the market you're trading. And then you just, see whether it has any juice behind it, for which I use the DMI, right? But also Bookmap, okay? I have it on my left screen over there. So, I do use tape. I do use the dome. I do use everything to figure out what my position should be in the market and whether I have a very, very strong level there. I am very selective over the trades that I take. However, because in the number of products that I do trade, you will see me do about 5-6 trades per day, okay? All right, what is your opinion on copy trading? I can see the upside, but can also blow up multiple accounts. I don't like copy trading, I will be very honest. I think that it doesn't allow you to make mistakes. If you do make a mistake, you are looking at a huge downside. So you're effectively looking at even on a 50K, you're looking at a $400 and $500 cost. If you're somebody who's not bothered by that, okay, because at this point, I can spend $500. I don't really care about that. Could even spend $1,000 or $2,000. It's not a big deal for me. But if you're somebody who is struggling with money and you've never achieved any payouts from anywhere, just don't copy trade, okay? Get one, just get one, maybe two, just for a backup. And then see if you can actually do one account, manage it well, get to a payout stage. If you do that, start adding. So add a couple of accounts, but don't go, buying 20 accounts and looking at some of us who are at a completely different financial situation to you, and probably more, comfortable in life, let's put it that way, to somebody who's got a normal job and they're sort of almost living paycheck to paycheck. They're still learning to trade and they have potential, but they're not quite there yet. Just don't go copy trading and buying 5 accounts at once, okay? It's an unnecessary risk. It's unnecessary expense. Be a little bit more responsible on that side. And then once you get there, once you actually get to a point of a payout, you can start scaling up, but you can't go from 0 to hero in 3.5 seconds. All right, I'm taking this. So that's a little base hit for me today after the payout to come to just kind of get a little bit of money going back into the account. So I don't know whether I'm going to keep trading today. So I'm just going to probably move on to the combines and leave this where it is. My inner Eastern European has come out to play today. Base hits after a payout is something that I like doing, and something that I tell people to do. But what I see over and over, whatever I say, people go in with the same size that they were trading before the payout, and then the XFAs are gone pretty much within a couple of days, maybe a week. Okay. I took the trade off because we reached VWAP and we reached my profit target zone. I'm also talking and I'm also doing other things, trying to see what questions we have, and all of that. So that's good enough for me. That's 55 ticks for those of you who don't want to focus on the monetary value, but focus on just the ticks, because those are scalable. It doesn't matter if you're trading 1, 5, 50, 100 lots. It's always going to be 55 ticks profit, right? So we can have a good reference. So I risked 35 ticks. As you saw, it went into maybe about 13 tick drawdown, and then it turned around and went to 55 ticks. So my MAE, maximum adverse excursion, for this was within my usual thing of about 18 ticks. So that is the maximum average adverse excursion for me. And that means that this trade actually performed a little bit better than my average MAE. So that's always good. So you had a drawdown of, let's say, 15 ticks and you made 55. It's not bad, right? Okay, so that's the reason why I went long on crude oil. I saw algorithmic averages being exhausted. I saw some interest in the options activity around that same area. And then I waited for a reversal and I went in. So there's not really much else to talk about. When a trade works out, there's no need to, especially at this point in my career, there's no need to dissect it. It worked. Move on. It's the ones that don't work. You need to see what went wrong. So you're like, okay, what did I do here? Did I use the good level? Did I maybe miss a range-bound day? And therefore I was going off VWAP. Was this any kind of a... was there any way to avoid doing these sort of trades? Was it the time of day? Was the volatility too much? Were you right on direction, but ultimately your stop was either too tight or not at the right place? Did you ignore structure? That's what you need to take apart when it doesn't work. Okay? But yeah, so crude oil reason done. Copy trading, not in favor of it until you're very, very advanced. But even then, copy trading for me, I don't like it. I feel like it derails my mental side. And this is after 17 years of trading. I've never really copy traded before the last 4 years, right? I always said, one proper account and you manage it on an account level. This whole business of, I'll make 300 and then I'll multiply it by 5, 10, 15, 20. Like, what is that? I don't get why. Like, why are we doing this? Because you can't handle seeing super high numbers on the screen, so therefore it's easier on your mindset. Well, that's great, but to me that also spells amateur. So, you know. Do you use the DOM to do crude trading? I always have the DOM up, but I also always have Bookmap up on the other screen. I use all of those. However, I find Bookmap easier because when you see it, you don't have to remember anything. You can just go, okay, so we had some big orders sitting here. They're still sitting there. And it remembers it for you. You don't have to remember yourself. And same thing with the big bubbles, or big balls as I like to call them. They stay on the platform, right? So you can go back and you go, oh, okay, that's where they stepped in. There was quite a lot of volume. So it sort of visualizes things, but it's a personal preference. Like you heard Jay on Monday, Coach Jay was here with me, and he said he doesn't like it. It's too much information for him. He's like, it's too colorful, it's too much. So it's very much down to whether it helps you. If you find the DOM easier to work with in time and sales, fair enough. But some people prefer Bookmap, other people don't. You know, personal preference. Okay, let's carry on. What is a gamma wall and how to use it? Okay, so gamma wall is basically just a level where a lot of where kind of a lot of open interest is located, and you can get a shift in the sentiment around those levels. Now, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be a reversal point. If, in fact, sometimes it can be a point where they just pick up speed and they change from, let's say, a range-bound day into a quieter day, or they can change from a trending day into a range-bound day. So it really depends on what is going on. It's not enough just to go, oh, there's a gamma wall there, I'm just going to trade that. So you need to have that overall market sentiment in mind. It is not the appropriate way to use these options levels just by support and resistance concepts. Sometimes they do that, but frequently they will overshoot it, and then you're looking at, you know, about a 1 standard deviation away from it, and then if it doesn't turn around, well, in that case you have a sentiment shift. But generally, on the first run to them, they can, especially if the move was really, really extended, they can act as reversal points. So yeah. You can read more about it on the net. Like, options are very popular, and you can see like so many people who trade options, especially the 0DT, now have become very, very popular since COVID. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and spend, you know, the entire session talking about options activity, where you can find that for free. So just a little bit of Googling, and there you go. All right, can you please look at gold as well? Gold looks quiet to me. Yes, we can have a look at it. But with gold, I just don't like where it is on these like large time frames. We're still trying to sort of find our feet. It looks like it tried to go the other way, but look at how messy this is. Like, is this actually a downtrend, or is this just another big range that we're sitting in? I would say that it's a big range. So I'm not really sure on the large time frames what they're trying to achieve here yet. As always, when I'm trying to get involved, I look for understanding first. If I don't have a good understanding, I will just move on to something else. Because there's no point, you know, if you don't get what they're trying to do, you're just going to do a whole bunch of stupid trades, and then what? Like, is that what we want to be doing? So 2146 is the value low from London. 2746 even. 46. 4. Whoops. What the hell is this? Okay, so we opened below value, still sitting there, very, very quiet. Asia had a good move. London is not doing anything. But we did bounce off of the average session range low once again, which was located at 27.25.3. So 27.25.3. I'm going to make it into a dash line and then green. This is a level from the other day when I was still trading gold, so I don't think those are that valid today. Yeah, so let's have a look. We're in the middle of a 30-minute range. Some downtrend from that Asia activity. But yeah, I mean, look at this. This is London, right? So I have an interbalance range here. And we're just doing nothing. Like, I tried to dip below, sort of failing the auction, but yeah, the candles are too big, so a lot of risk needed to cover the low here. If you try to maybe do a smaller stop loss, I'm not happy doing that, because you would need to expect that they might dip into this wick here, because wicks do like to get taken out. In fact, if they're just like singular shooting stars and hammers, I find that they have a very, very high rate of failure. If you pair them up with a consolidation, that's a different matter. So there's a potential here for a failed auction long, but I just don't like the structure. So I don't think I'm going to be on gold today. Just going to have a look at some options. Yeah, so maybe 2740, closer to this value low. So 2740 up to 2746 might be an area for further shorts, if that's what they want to do. So extended move up to there. There may be a reversal. That's also where the visible range POC is located at the moment. So yeah, there's no setup for me here. Very messy. Very messy gold. What are these gamma levels? Is there an indicator or somewhere we can copy them from? I mean, you can look at bar chart. They have those options activities. However, if you want to pay for something to get you the line on the charts, there is Mentor Q service. So they are something that a few of us use, but it's not that simple, because you will have to you will have to copy a string from the actual Discord query bot that they have, and you have to do that every day. Okay, so it's not like, just put an indicator on there, you do no work. There's still some data that needs to be taken from the options activity. If you only trade ES, you might be able to use something like TraderAid, but they only have SPX. I trade other alternative markets, and Mentor Q are the only ones who provide that kind of chewed up options data for those markets as well. If you trade YM has no options activity, so that wouldn't be very helpful. But anything that does have monthly options, Crude oil now has bi-weekly options. So anything with options activity, and they will have that data. Now, sometimes, like let's say platinum, it's not as dynamic as, let's say, ES or SPX. So you're not going to see too much of a change on a day-to-day basis. But crude oil, I mean, nearly every day, these levels would change. And then even if there was a level, there was, let's say, a whole bunch of calls there, suddenly the next day they might have the same level as a potential for high volume level where gamma will flip to the other side if it goes through it. But also it depends what happens in the run up to the level. So if you want to pay for something, then Mentor Q is your is where I would go. However, you can get that from bar chart as well. You just need to find the current front month, like let's say platinum. And then you will have to sift through open interests, right? and then maybe even a change. Like how much did that change? What was the premium? So yeah, it's a bit more work than just a line on the chart, but it depends whether, you know, you want to spend cash on more services or not. I like spending cash on services because they automate my process massively, but it's a personal preference, obviously. So yeah. How to read the DOM information? Very simple. You look for where the larger orders are and then expect that they will get reached. What happens after? Usually they fill them and then they act as a springboard. But sometimes if you have a whole bunch of them in the same level, that might be a problem. So that might act as a reversal. So again, it's a supply demand sort of thing. If you look at the order numbers as a supply, so we can say that crude oil has some supply at 71.56, where we currently have 55 contracts located. And you can also say that 71.50 is also an interesting area because we have 40 contracts. So within the span of 6 ticks, you have some more relevant orders. But on crude oil, I really am not interested in anything less than 100. Especially if I'm going to look at it as a potential reversal point. And right now there's nothing, so this is a thin market. But that's kind of the bottom line, the gist of how you would use it. And now you can see the supply is building around 58, 56, 54, 50. So that entire area is now becoming a potential supply. However, if we get enough buyers and they're aggressive enough, they can just smack through that and then use it for further movement higher. So it's not it's not like one of those things. It's like you have a level, it has to go short or long from it. It's a living, breathing thing. So if it decides to carry on higher, there will be some institutional buyers with deep enough pockets that will push through that area. That's why we need context. Context is everything. You don't know context? Get better. All right. As a beginner, is it better to have the trades in ticks or dollar? Ticks. 100% ticks. Remove everything relating to dollar amounts and just focus on ticks. So this is how I like to trade, but some people had a problem with that because they're like, you're hiding. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just not trying to focus away from the dollar amounts. Because especially when you're trading micros, I'm used to, on some of my personal accounts, getting like, 3-4 grand per trade, and then suddenly it's like 200. So I found myself going to this other extreme where I'm now chasing at least 700 because that's like in my head a more significant amount. And then I would extend targets. I would not follow my process. It would just be a mess, right? And for anyone who's struggling mentally, remove everything relating to the dollar amounts and only focus on number of trades per day, quality of the setup, how many ticks you're risking, how many ticks you're gaining. And that will be a total game changer. It will stop you from trading P&L and going, I've lost 200, now I have to make it up. It's not your money anymore. You don't need to make anything up. What you do need is to see whether there's the next setup and how high of a quality that setup is. Again, we had Coach Jay here on Monday. It's like he sees people trading 20 trades a day. Did you have 20 quality setups on NQ in one day? Or was it just one big move and you just decided to grasshopper in and out because you want your life to be more exciting? Let's put that to some reality check, right? Let's have a look at, for example, gold. How many good extended moves do you see here? Well, here's 1, here's 2, 3, 4, right? Why are you trading 20 trades? Why not just try and, okay, not everybody is going to be good at catching ups and downs, okay? And this can be quite tough. But let's just say you were short biased because we are in a distribution, we turned around, you wanted to short gold. So you go short once, twice, and probably now 3 times. 3 opportunities for shorts. And if you were long biased, well, here we go. Since midnight, 1, 2. You had 2 opportunities since GMT midnight to go long on gold. How many trades did you do? Did you do 5, 7, 50? Why? Because you love paying brokerage fees? Okay, Topstep doesn't have fees on the sim, but they have them in the live. Okay, so if that's what you're going to be doing, the brokerage where Topstep X is getting their accounts from, they're going to be very happy with you. They're going to be like, hey, you want to go to dinner? Suddenly the broker is going to be like, I want to hang with you because you make me money. Is that what we want? We want to make money for the brokers or for ourselves? The more trades you do in a day, the happier your brokerage will be. But you, probably not so much. It's a lot of work. I want to aim for less work and more money, not 8 hours of hardcore work and then ending up with 100 quid on the day or 50 or nothing, minus 3 grand. So, be very careful with your goals and the number of trades that you do. But yeah, definitely ticks over dollar amounts. So if you can run everything in ticks, you're going to see much greater consistency because you're not going to care about the P&L, right? Hi Dee, what do you think about our RTY? I don't think I've traded like RTY much. I think I've maybe placed like 2 trades in it. So, yeah, it's it's an interesting product, but let me see if I can drag it up. Do I even have it in the... I don't have anybody who trades R2I out of my students. Well, let's find it. Just gonna load up a template on my other charting package. Okay. R2Y looks very bullish to me. There is a bit of a consolidation right now, but yeah, I mean it looks similar to all the other products. So let's move on to that. Yeah. So I mean, is there anything to talk about here? Popping up. Let me see if they've got some options activity there, because I'm not really sure. Let's have a look. Yeah, there are options. Okay, let's have a look at what's going on. What's going on? I can use this chart. Okay. I'm just trying to input the string into this thing. So let's see. Oh, I'm not on December. Hold on. December contract is there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it massively overshot its average ranges. We are sitting in an area that had quite a lot of calls around 2400, but we're now above it. However, there's a bit of a slowdown. So there is a chance that at some point, maybe pre-market, somebody takes profits. However, I wouldn't be looking at any sort of big sell-offs and stuff. It would be more like see money, take money on shorts, just purely because it's gone up so far that this smells of a reprice to me. This doesn't look like your regular trending day. It's a reprice. Obviously not surprising because we've had the elections and Trump stepping into the office. So, So yeah, RTY up, up, and up. I mean, when people ask me to do analysis on equities, it's so boring, It's like, yeah, it's up again. It's like, cool story, bro. So, yeah. To me, equities are not that that interesting. And when there's not much happening, they just kind of sit and wait. And they do nothing. Okay, NQ is a little bit crazier, but again, I don't know. To me, equities are just such a one-sided market. Like when you look at it from the perspective of most days, like if you're not long, what are you doing, right? All right, so that's RTY, bullish, the end. Jesse James says, good morning, Dee. Good morning, team. How is Trump going to affect our trading portfolios long-term, bullish or bearish? I don't know, man. I'm not a portfolio manager. I'm an intraday trader who tries to outperform the market intraday. Slightly different skills. So for that sort of advice, you will need to go to a hedge fund or a CTA or something. They can maybe tell you that, and they maybe manage portfolios with multiple products and stuff. Long term, I don't hold anything past like 4 hours at like at my longest trades these days. So anything from half an hour up to 4 hours, I can tell you where it's going to go and how it's going to affect it. But anything past that, not my expertise, and I would not even pretend that that is something that I can get involved in, because I'm not a swing trader. I moved away from swing trading 12 years ago for a reason. I can't sleep when I have a swing trade on, and even though I'm very good at finding larger opportunities intraday that can last us for a couple of hours, I would not call myself a portfolio manager. I'm just a, cowboy intraday trader. Just like you guys, right? So I don't know. So far it's bullish, right? So far the market seems to have digested the news. It's a positive. I can only trade what I see, right? I don't know how it's going to happen later on. But I'm not a huge fan of Trump. But here's the thing. He's the one that brokered the peace in the Middle East last time. So there's something to that, right? Out of all of the stuff that he's done, I would say that's a positive. Am I happy at the prospect of crazy tweets coming our way again and me having to keep one eye on what he's going to tweet about next? Not that happy. Okay. But yeah, I don't know, man. I have the same charts as you. I can only say what's already happened. And I can tell you closer to the time, cash session, where we are opening. Are we above value? Are we inside value? Did we overshoot it? Are we bouncing from VWAP? Are we ignoring it? Literally the same things that you guys look at. Yeah, so I don't know. It remains to be seen, right? Chewy says, I also have the issue of struggling to walk away with profits. I was up $800 on the overnight session on ES, then went down to minus 300. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. I know that we're coming up on time, but this is something that many people struggle with. So let me ask you this. If somebody came up to you and gave you $800, would you then go and spend all of it and then 300 of your own money on top of that? Of course not. You would go, wow, somebody just gave me $800. This is awesome. Let me go put it in a savings account or something. Well, maybe not a savings account, but you wouldn't spend it all in one day. You have to start respecting money more. $800 is one mofo of a day. So you need to ask yourself, why isn't that enough? And then if you come off 30% off that high mark, which is the rule that I have, let's say I make, sorry, I just swore. Apologies to any kids watching. It's early. So yeah, Dee dropped an F-bomb. Yeah. Even if it's like 600 and then you come off 30% off of that, that's still a great day. Like, what's wrong with you? Just walk away, right? Especially on these accounts. So why isn't $800 in one day good enough for you? Like, what are you trying to do? And if you're going to tell me that you're going to try and get on the leaderboard, I'm going to you know how Bart Simpson and Homer Simpsons, they have this whole thing. I'm going to reach through the camera and I'm just going to grab you by the neck and go, ah, you little. Why? Because reaching for the leaderboard is something to do when you've already proven you can make six figures somewhere else, right? Everybody who's on the leaderboard, I can guarantee you that that's not the first time that they're making six figures in their personal life. So therefore, their money beliefs are quite a bit different from most people's, right? And that is not a huge deal for them. They have a bigger risk appetite. They can go in with 8 lots even if you have like a 10K balance. I can't do that for the life of me at this age, right? I'm so risk averse now that I need to have a very decent buffer, and I would rather take time getting there than blowing up a million XFAs in the process to get there. I don't want to spend, $500,000 a year in order to chase the leaderboard and get there, right? I have no intention of doing that. Absolutely none. So if your issue is chasing leaderboard stuff, just stop. Whenever they have a leaderboard on, just put your ears in your fingers in your ears and go la la la, or switch it off until the leaderboard is over. Okay? Because it's detrimental to you, to everybody else trying to learn. Don't shoot for the moon, okay? So walk away with 800. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, what were you aiming for? 1,000? So now you're risking 800 to get 200? That's a negative risk reward. Negative risk reward. So you're chasing that last 20% to hit that arbitrary, stupid $1,000 a day. And what did you get? Minus 300. Whoopee, well done. So isn't it better to lock it up at like 500 for the day and just go, okay, so screw that one up. I need to just walk away. Like, what is this need to keep going? Like, this is one thing that I never had. This is my big superpower, right? The need to have more trades and more trades. Is it the dopamine rush? Probably. You're chasing more. Is it greed? No, it's dopamine. It gave you something pleasurable and you want more of it. It's like a line of Coke. So except drugs, this is your drug, right? You want more. You always want more. So, try to recognize the dopamine rushes in your head and walk away, man. Like $800 and you give it away. I'm very annoyed for you. So don't do that. Just have a rule. Come off 30% of high mark wherever you are. Lock it up for the day. There's always another day. And you'll be surprised at how much base hits actually rack up. Like this whole account, the coffee account, it's all like very slow trading, right? Slow trading. I'll show you all of my days. So first day 625, second day 256. 517, 912, 398, 235. Very small days. And then, okay, I had a very good day, decided that I had enough buffer in there. So I'm like, right, I'm going to try for a little bit bigger. And then I still got like 3 awesome trades. And it says 7 because I scaled it out. But I got like literally 3 super perfect setups on the day. And that was it. And again, base hit, 245, 680, 275. Okay, so a very good day, 1.7. Then let's move on to the next month, which is this month. Okay, first day, very good day on a Friday. I know on Twitter I said I was going to lock it up, but again, I saw 4 amazing trades setting up. And by the time I was up on the 3rd trade, I was like, okay, well, this one's also setting up now. I can't not take it. And then Monday, I did a very small trade there. Why? Because on Monday, I was like entering a trade and I had the wrong account. I thought I was on one of the combines and I'm like, oh shit. Okay, so I closed that down, did a payout. So I sent in a payout request for half the amount and then sat out Tuesday, right? So this is my day today. I'm actually going to lock this up. I'm not going to trade today anymore. So another base hit. So a base hit adds up to $9,000 per month. Okay? So why are you shooting for the moon? What the hell's going on there? You know, you need to ask yourself that question. You make some money, you're done. So work on it, man. Work on it. Meditation, fasting, alpha waves, matcha green tea. I don't know. Do something. Can I trade fractional contracts in gold? If so, how? No, you can't trade fractional contracts, but they do have micros, which is kind of the equivalent. So MGC would be where you want to go. So in futures, you have no nano contracts. Everything is like 1 or 2. However, a few years ago, they decided that the futures minis were too big for the accounts, and they tried to get more people, more speculators to try and trade, and they introduced micro futures. I never had those when I started out in prop, but I did come from Forex back in 2007, so I know that they had nano contracts, and that's kind of what they tried to emulate. But if you want to trade micros, 1 micro is usually the 10th of the mini contract. So for every full gold mini, 1 tick, which is equivalent to 1 pip, so minimum price movement, full gold is $10. 1 micro tick is $1. So yes, you can trade very small amounts in futures, but no less than that. You know, if you want to risk less than like 35 per trade, $35 per trade, you know, you're probably not there yet to get involved with futures. That's too small. All right, let's rattle through these questions. Trader Zen says, hi Dee, what's your favorite instrument to trade? At the moment, I'm kind of bouncing between copper and platinum. They're pretty good. I find that crude oil is okay at times, but it's kind of slipped to like I've been on sort of trial separation terms on crude oil for 8 months, so 6 months or whatever it was, because in February something odd happened to it and it just died a death and never came back for like 6 months. Towards the end of July, when they introduced the biweekly options, we started seeing more movement. And now it's sort of back to its old self, but it still has way too many days where London or Asia are the ones that make the majority of the moves. And that's been the theme for the year. I don't like that because my true edge in crude oil is actually the cash session for NYMEX. But if you find that the cash session in NYMEX is very quiet, you just enter a trade and then you watch paint dry. And that's one of my mental triggers. When I have a decent setup, I enter a setup and then there's no movement. And then I'm just getting annoyed. And then I'm just like, come on, move. What is happening? And I found myself trading more to kind of, maybe if I get a better price. And then I get a whole bunch of paper cuts, sitting on like $400 or $500 of loss. And then I get annoyed with myself that I did paper cuts. So I am now very careful with crude oil. It has to be absolutely a banging setup with a decent range, or I'm not going to get involved. And then if I get about 50 ticks out of it, happy days, right? So I don't chase super large moves in crude oil. Maybe if I see something odd happening on the delta or something, I might be able to run a trade that has more juice in it. But these days, 35, 50 ticks, perfectly happy with that. D, what should an advanced trader target daily in profit? Nothing. Don't have daily profits. I would say target more your mental game. And if the mental game is on top, trade the best setups that you can see. That's the only thing that an advanced trader should be doing, right? If you're an advanced trader, you probably have an ability to hop through different products. That will open up the potential for the advanced trader to generate more cash. But at the same time, if the advanced trader is not keeping on top of their mental triggers, if you lose a couple, don't just keep going. However, the profit target to me are completely pointless. Profit targets are maybe there to just stop trading for the day. So let's say you're aiming for $2,000. And again, what should an advanced trader, like we're talking people with very different capital, very different risk appetite. I can't tell you what is enough for you on the day, because I've known profitable advanced traders that are perfectly happy making 500 a day, and they do that all year long for years. They make a great living out of that. But then I know some people who are not happy with 2 grand a day, so they are trying to get 5 grand or something. Now, do you have the capital to do that? That would be the first thing. And is your mental side strong enough and experienced enough to handle that kind of cash? I can't answer any of those for you, okay? So you have to see for yourself how you did. And honestly, I don't like setting any targets, but I do like setting downside limits based on the average amount that I make. So I take all of my average trades that I've done, and then I will divide it by the number of days. So let's say once I have 30 days of this, you will add all of these up and then divide it by 30, and then go, okay, so this is now my daily loss limit. I will try not to go over that, and then just see how much you can make on that sort of a daily loss limit, okay? So it's a fine balance between sort of wanting a lot of profit, what you're able to achieve right now, and not just being high on hopium that tomorrow you will be making 10 grand a day, 20 grand, 30 grand a day. If you haven't done that yet, then you're not ready. If you have done that yet, or if you have done it already, take all of those and just watch your downside. So take all of the winning days, divide them up, and then just create a loss limit. And the rest of it will just take care of itself. We cannot shoot. The reason why I'm against targets like that is because we cannot predict what type of a day you're going to have. Okay? That's why I'm against it. One day we might have no movement. Another day we might have a ton of movement. And then another day it might be a mix of the two. It might be a little bit moving, but then nothing for the next part of the session. Or maybe very quiet up until, like today we have the FOMC day. And in fact, let me lock this up. So that's my base hit after a payout. Done. I made my money, right? That's it. And then I'm going to keep doing that. So whatever the market gives me, I will take that, whether it's 200 or 1.4K or 1.7K that I had one of these days. I will take that, But I'm not going to go, oh, I only made 264. My target is 1,500. What can I trade? Find trade right now. I'm not going to be doing that. And that I feel that that's what the targets, daily profit targets do to people. They're not like, oh yeah, well, I reached it, so that's great. They chase. They chase. And it's like the worst thing ever, man. All right, guys, we've gone about 10 minutes over this, but, the questions were amazing as always. So thank you for hanging with me. We're going to have a lively session tomorrow because I'm going to get Coach Ray and Paul H. You see Paul H. always in the chat. So he's going to be joining us to talk about his journey. You've seen him already on a couple of segments in TopstepTV. He is a trader, pilot, and he's going to come and talk about his way of learning, what sort of journey he's had with Topstep, how he's doing, we're just going to catch up with him. And we're going to have Coach Ray to maybe try and find some trades as well. And then if Coach Ray wants to go to sleep halfway through, because it's very, very late for him, then we can have Paul, hanging with us until the rest of the session. But yeah, so make sure to like this video, because that means a lot to me. If you're finding any value in the things that I'm yapping about and the trades that I'm showing you, give me a like, man. It doesn't cost much. It's a click. Is your like button not working? Well, if it's working, let's bump up this stream. Do I have anything else to share with you plugs wise? I don't think so. Oh yeah, so if your live account on Topstep has been disabled because of elections yesterday, it will be unlocked today at 8:30 a.m. Central. So from today, if you're a live trader, you can trade. But again, they say these hours are tentative. Topstep's risk managers will monitor and inform live traders once their accounts are unable to trade again. Obviously, everybody is still asleep, so naturally that's not happening at least until 8:30 a.m. CT. And yeah, okay, Topstep giveaways, Topstep VIP. The next draft is going to be in January, so you need to check in on TopstepTV. The more you get your name in, the higher the chances are of getting in one of the top 10 teams. Or one of the teams. Read, Dee, read. We're going to have an exclusive Q&A with Coach Dakota. So all this week, during slow markets, Dakota is running Topstep Labs. So check in to get your entries for one of the 20 spots in Dakota's exclusive group coaching. It's kind of like the VIP check-ins. So the more you check in, the more chances you have of getting in. And then obviously keep watching some of our other programming. This is one of them, out of hours programming. And then we have market kickoff with Nick for a Tick, which is every Sunday at 4:45 p.m. And we have At the Buzzer, obviously. So yes, thank you guys for hanging. It's been an awesome session. We even managed to get a trade in, which is not always the case because the markets don't give monkeys whether I'm on TV or not and whether they're going to set me up with a good trade. But we found one. Did our job. Now, be very mindful today because we could have some bounciness as a result of the elections. But so far, it's actually been a pretty smooth ride, albeit an upside movement and a trending day. But that can obviously change in a flash depending on the focus of the market participants, right? And that's it. Until tomorrow, trade safe. This is TopstepTV, and I'm Deeyana Angelo. Take care.